a story comes along that makes us question everything we thought we knew about life, the human body, and survival itself. This is one of those stories. A man walks into a hospital, complaining of weakness and fatigue, and what doctors discover inside his skull shocks the world. 90% of his brain is gone. How is he alive? Why isn't he in a coma? How is he able to speak, move, live a normal life? What you're about to hear isn't science fiction. It's not a theory. It's a fact. And it left top neurologists stunned, baffled, and speechless. Before we dive into this astonishing real-life case, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video if you're passionate about the unexplained, the unbelievable, and the buried truths of science and human resilience. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Our story begins with a man. His name is John. A quiet, hard-working individual in his mid-40s, living in a small town in France. Married. 2 children. A full-time job. Nothing out of the ordinary. Until one day, John collapsed. Out of nowhere. No trauma. No prior condition. Just collapsed. He was rushed to the hospital. Emergency teams worked swiftly. Doctors suspected a minor stroke or a seizure. But what they discovered after scanning his brain would become one of the most bizarre cases in modern medical history. The CT scan revealed something no one expected. Almost all of the space inside John's skull was filled with fluid. Only a thin layer of brain tissue remained around the perimeter. That's right, over 90% of his brain was missing. To put that in perspective, the parts of the brain responsible for speech, coordination, memory, logic, and even consciousness were either massively reduced or completely absent. The doctors froze. This cannot be, one whispered. And yet, John was wide awake. Fully conscious. Answering questions. Making jokes. Speaking. Moving. The team immediately called in neurologists and brain specialists. The case escalated to national attention. Neuroscientist Dr. Lionel Fuellett led the investigation. They dug into John's medical history, and discovered that he had been diagnosed with hydrocephalus as a child, a rare condition where fluid builds up in the brain, slowly compressing it over time. But even that couldn't explain this level of brain loss, or why John functioned so normally. The case was published in The Lancet, one of the world's most prestigious medical journals, and it exploded across scientific communities. Emails. Conferences. Heated debates. Is it possible that we've been wrong about how much brain we actually need? Around the world, neurologists were stunned. Some called it an anomaly. Others, a miracle. But none could deny the evidence. John was living with only 10% of the brain volume most people have, and yet, his IQ was recorded at 75. Slightly below average, but nowhere near impaired. He worked a government job. Had a wife. Raised 2 children. He was, by all appearances, normal. His story forced scientists to re-examine what we know about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and adapt. Was John's brain functioning in ways we simply couldn't measure? Had it rewired itself over the decades to use what little space it had with astonishing efficiency? This case opened more questions than it answered. If John could survive, and thrive, with so little brain tissue, what does that mean for how we define intelligence? Consciousness? Life itself? Could the brain be far more adaptable than we've ever imagined? Or, is there something else at play? Something science has yet to understand. John refused interviews. He turned down media appearances. He didn't want to be the face of a miracle. He just wanted to live. But his anonymous story changed lives. It inspired medical students, shocked professionals, and gave hope to families dealing with brain injury and trauma. His case has been used in universities and research centers to challenge outdated beliefs, and to push the limits of what we think is possible. We learn that the human body is more resilient than we can comprehend. We learn that consciousness might not be tied to brain size, but perhaps to something deeper, more distributed, and more mysterious. We learn that sometimes life finds a way. If you've made it this far, you know that stories like this aren't just rare, they're essential. They remind us that the world is still full of wonder, mystery, and hope. So don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it with someone who still believes in miracles. Because what we cover here isn't fiction. It's real. It's raw. And it's buried and untold. Until next time, stay curious.